July. So here are the tarot and oracle decks that I shall be using mostly this month. Hello and welcome to another video, especially if you're new. Hello, and if you've been joining me for other videos, welcome back and thank you so much for choosing to hang out with me to see which decks I'm going to be using this month, which is July 2025. As always, do share which decks you're going to be using and let everybody know, and let's share our love of tarot and oracle decks. I am going to change camera, so let's have a look at those decks, which I'm really excited about this month, and hopefully I will be able to explain why as we look through them. So this month I'm going to be working with the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and the Textured Tarot. This is an indie deck by one of my favourite creators, Lisa McLoughlin, and this deck is no longer available in this format, but she has got a pocket edition, which is also a pip deck. I actually started by choosing the Rose Oracle. I have had this deck for a couple of months and I was going to use it originally when I got it, but for various reasons I didn't. So I've sort of been saving it, if you like, until the time felt right. And I really got this deck because I wanted to do some kind of goddess related work, which this deck is all about. So for those of you that don't know this deck, Rebecca Campbell has used the symbol of the rose to represent the goddess and that sort of ancient lineage of kind of feminine energies going back through time. And this deck has called to me for a long time, and I spent a lot of time kind of eyeing it up, deliberating whether to get it, and in the end I just decided to go ahead and get it. And I forgot to mention the beautiful artwork is digital collage based art by Katie Louise, and it's really soft and feminine images. And even though I haven't been working with this deck, I have spent a lot of time with it, just simply looking through the images and connecting with it. And so when it was time to come to work with this deck, I did really want a tarot deck to accompany it, and I wasn't really sure which one to use out of the decks that I've got, because a lot of them are kind of nature based, they're very sort of green, lots of animals, and then I remembered the Textured Tarot. And I should say, actually, I looked at the cards first, sort of trying to pair them up, and then I realised halfway through that there was a rose on the box, very similar kind of visually to the one on the Rebecca Campbell deck, and I realised that yes, it was probably meant to be. And then as I was going through the deck, I realised that in fact there's a lot of roses in this deck too, and so I don't know, there was something about that that really kind of pleased me in the way that these little things do. So let's have a look and see how they go together. I mean, straight away we've got blues, we've got soft pink colours, we've got red roses. So I was very excited when I looked through these, and not all of them pair exactly. But for me it's good enough. I mean, even you've got a very small amount of green here, which is picked up on this death card here. Oh, and look how stunning. And in fact, these are two of my favourite cards from each deck. Just stunning. So it's quite interesting to have the Thorn, which is all about protection, boundaries and communication, and then the Moon, so you know how you sort of maybe battling against the thoughts and the ideas that you want to express, but maybe too afraid to do so, but having this sense of protection to be able to cross those boundaries and communicate those ideas. So I think as a pairing, well, I'm hoping these shall offer some interesting insights. I am going to be doing some art journaling with these pairings, probably not all the time, but certainly for the bigger readings, which I tend to do at the weekend. I'm going to be doing some art spreads, and if you'd like to know what that process looks like, I do have a couple of other videos where I share my art journal pages, and that's not going to work for everybody. God, they look lovely together, don't they, with all these ochres. But I personally find, maybe it's because I'm an artist, maybe it's because I'm a visual person, by actually drawing out my readings, and sometimes I meditate, sometimes I don't. It really helps me to go into the cards and the meanings on a slightly deeper level. And if that sounds interesting to you, then I definitely recommend checking out those videos, because I enjoy doing it and I quite enjoy sharing those ideas, and so I'll probably share the results with you in a later video. Now, because this is goddess energy, I did want to get another goddess deck, and I was very tempted by some of the Venus or Aphrodite decks which are on the market at the moment, and it's not to say that I'm not going to get these, but after watching the reviews, even though they are beautiful, I mean, the nature of that Renaissance art of Venus and various goddesses, that it is just beautiful artwork, the decks as a whole just weren't resonating with me. And then I remembered that I have my Celtic Goddesses, Witches and Queens Oracle, and I didn't really think about using this one, simply because I just didn't think that they'd pair very well with the sort of pastels in both of these decks, the rose and the textured tarot. But to my surprise, let me just move these over a little bit, they worked really well. I mean, this is just a random selection, but we have visually these cards here. So we have the Fertile Void, the Tower, and Coventina, who's a water goddess. And actually, I just realised the Tower has roses on it as well. These sort of almost quite dark, moody greens, and then the green is picked up here in the middle. And yeah, I was absolutely blown away by how well these three decks went together. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And so the purpose of adding this deck is really to sort of knuckle down with the kind of overarching feminine energies from the Rose Oracle, and really to sort of guide me towards a goddess that might embrace some of these qualities, and someone that I can work with, pictures that I can put up onto my altar, images that I can add into this visual journal that I'm going to do. And so, yeah, I mean, just look, the yellow on this one being picked up in the Empress card, and then it's watered down further here. So for me, again, as an artist and as a visual person, this is just an absolute treat of images. And so, yeah, we've even got the Blue River and the Empress card picked up in the blue sky of the Rhiannon card. And yeah, that's really interesting, having these three cards together. I just had to pause the video and get the booklet for the Rhiannon card, because it's really interesting. So if Rhiannon comes to you, you are suffering trials and losses, and you may find yourself being treated with a lack of respect. It later goes on to say a period of healing, and so we have healing here, and of waking what may feel dead or sleeping within you. So again, this idea of embracing the divine feminine. Remember, you are a queen, so we have the Empress card here, and honour all of what you are and what you feel. Call your sovereignty and power back to you. Remember going forward that your love and loyalty are gifts to be given only to those who are truly worthy. And obviously with the Empress, a very nurturing archetype and caring. So wow, what a powerful message that is. So yeah, I think I'm going to be going down several rabbit holes with these 3 decks, and I have pulled a couple of other decks to the side, which is, and I haven't actually looked to see how these ones pair, but we have the Wild Woman Oracle, which is again sort of the rewilding of the contemporary woman, which has a range of feminine qualities and various goddesses from different cultures. So I think I'll probably use these as kind of an addition, or maybe to enrich a reading if I need a bit more information. And I think I would also need to call upon the Rooted Woman Oracle for the same reason. And so the Rooted Woman has been split into 3 different sections. So we have additional goddesses, or there's probably an overlap of goddesses or divine feminine energies. But this deck has places, kind of magical places, where we might find or express the divine feminine, and also life stages. So if we think mother, maiden, crone, that kind of energy, and also, you know, just life in general. And I think a lot of us are stuck here in the wasteland, particularly with some of the events that are happening around the world. I think some of us feel very helpless at the moment in, you know, being able to make changes to things that we're seeing going on. And, you know, and I've seen a lot of other people online talk about this, and I think there is this growing consensus that actually we just need to keep showing up and doing our spiritual work, and just really keep trying to put that positive energy out there to sort of bring about a shift, I suppose. Now, a monthly intentions video from me wouldn't be the same without mentioning a Season of the Witch deck. So as we have come into the season of Letha, or should I say Sabbath of Letha, I will also be incorporating this deck, and I haven't looked at to see how well it would pair with the Rose Oracle or the Textured Tarot, but I suspect it might just do, because I'm finding that these decks really seem to go with any deck that I have. I mean, yeah, I think that probably works. As a side note, actually, of decks that this goes really well with, I actually experimented working with the Moonology Manifestation deck. I find both the Moonology decks that I have a bit of a challenge, and so I find that I get much stronger readings that make sense to me when I pair them up. And just as an experiment for the new moon, this past new moon, I decided to pair it with the Letha deck, and actually they worked surprisingly well together, and I wasn't expecting it, simply because this is a digital deck and this is a hand illustrated deck, but it was a really in-depth, powerful reading. I mean, look how gorgeous those cards look together. I was absolutely blown away by how well, I mean, even these two are sort of in a similar pose. So yeah, if you're stuck with any deck, I would just encourage you to get out another deck that you know is going to give you a reading that makes sense, and just see how they pair together. It might just help to unlock that deck for you. Finally, I am returning to my RWS practice. I started at the beginning of the year with loads of enthusiasm to work through some of the activities suggested in my Ultimate Guide to Tarot book, and it kind of fell by the wayside. And I can't remember why, but I think it was something I saw here on TarotTube inspired me to get this out again and to try and reconnect with it. But I'm doing it in the way that I know how. And so I've actually started to do a visual journal, and I'm going to do one for each card. Well, I'll see how far I get with the major cards. So really just taking the card itself and then just trying to pick up the symbols. So those of you that have this version, you'll know that the little white book doesn't really give a great deal of information. So if you have another book about the Rider-Waite-Smith, so as I said, I'm using the Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean, and so a lot of the information has just come from that book. And really I've sort of tried to do it in a way where I can remind myself of the importance of the colour, the symbolism of the colour, and then any other symbols. So what I like about the Ultimate Guide to Tarot is that she talks about the rose, and then that where else that can be found in other parts of the deck, as with the dog. So the dog here also is found in the moon card, all the different types of suns, and also noting, you know, that the sun is white in the full card, but in a lot of the other cards it's a yellow sun, and again you've got the colours to remind you what that means. So I managed to finish the full card, and this is something that I'm just doing on more of an ad hoc basis, and I've started the Magician spread, and I didn't get very far with it. But what I'm planning to do with my RWS is just to commit to doing one reading a week with it. So it's either going to be a review of the week or a look at the week ahead, and I'm sort of using some of the spreads suggested in the Ultimate Guide to Tarot for the major cards. So I think I did at like a Magician's spread, which was about sort of manifesting, and then I did an Emperor spread, and they're quite interesting questions to sort of unlock maybe some of the considerations I've got going on at the end of the week. So yeah, looking forward to trying to reconnect with this. And actually I have found that since doing this, I am starting to feel like I can connect to this full card a lot more than I did prior to doing this. So it has definitely made me appreciate this a lot more. I've just found that I've connected more with other decks, and so I really want to get to grips with this one. As always, thank you so much for joining me today to hang out and spend some time with me looking at the decks that I'm going to be using this July, and a little review of some of the decks I used previously as well. I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please feel free to drop a comment below to say which were your favourite deck pairings, and also if you have any additional tips on working with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Until the next video, here are some other videos you can watch in the meantime, and I'm Sally and this is my channel Vaudeville Manor House of Art and Tarot. Bye bye.